Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to be unboxing, building, and painting the Bride of Frankenstein kit by X Plus. So let's get started. Now this kit comes with two different versions you could build. You have a fully bandaged version and the version in the gown, so we're going to focus on one at a time. First runner we have for that here, you have the parts for the torso and what looks like either the shoulders or the neck. And here you have the bandaged face. I do like that all the eyelash detail is molded in. Looks like you have a lot of room to work with. But yeah, that's pretty nice looking. You will have to remove that seam from the top though, to sand that down a little bit. All right. Next we have the lower body. Pretty simple, just a front and back half. Again, the details are really nice. Really simple, but complex at the same time. I like all the little folds and everything in there. Looks pretty good. And we have the arms. Again, same thing, front and back halves. And then we have the feet, top and bottom pieces. These two are going to slot into the base. And here we have the parts for the gown version. So first off, we have the hair, which I don't even know why you'd want to use the bandage version when you don't get to see her hair. I mean, that's such an iconic part of her, you know. But the hair looks really nice, very nicely detailed. All right, next we have the face, which I think looks phenomenal. But yeah, again, those eyelashes protrude a lot, and I like that. It's gonna make it a hell of a lot easier to paint. So that definitely helps. And yeah, then we have the sides of the hair where it's gonna be the white, right? And then we have some lightning bolts that are optional. This is going to be for the base. They do not need to be used, but it does give you the instructions on how to use them if you like. And then we have the hands. On this next one, we have an additional set of hands. I'm guessing one of these is for the other version as well. Again, the bandaged arms, they're slightly different, so they're different pieces. And then we have the nameplate. Really nice detail. I like that it has the line in the middle of the letters because that's part of the title. So that's part of the design of it. Then here we have the gown. We have the front and the sides, right? They're going to slide in like this, which is where we're going to use our plastic cements when we put it together, all right? We slide that on, okay? Then we have the back piece, all right? I try to slide that in as well without it falling apart on me because it's not cemented down yet. So, but this one, it's going to have a lot less pieces just because there's no torso on this. It's literally just the gown, a flat piece that goes underneath for attaching to the base, the head, and the arms. So you have no front and back torso or any of that. But yeah, so what I would be doing is I'm going to cement the torso together, then, or the gown, then I'm going to put putty along the seams on the outside with Vallejo plastic putty, and we'll go over that in a bit. But yeah, once I get that looking good and get those seams out of there, this is going to be a gorgeous kit. And then that flat piece is going to go under here, and it's going to go into the base and hold it to the base. Now the base has a lot of pieces, so we're going to have to do this in two sets. It's too much to get on camera. So first we have the table. There are going to be some parts that connect onto there, right? Then we have these what look like support beams, which are going to go on the base as well. Nothing too special there. But here we have more parts. Some of these are going to be for the table. So for example, we have the headrest here. I believe this goes towards the bottom. And just a lot of nice details for it. These are parts for holding the, they're the legs for the table. Here we have more items that are going to go on the diorama. So we got the scissors and everything, all kinds of little test tubes and bottles and everything. Some of these you put wherever you want, some are have a specific location. And then we have the remaining base parts here. So here's just the ground, the base, right? Everything's going to sit on that. I really like this stone look. I mean, obviously from the movie she's inside, so I'm guessing It's just because of the location, the ground is made from stones. And then we have this here. Now this is going to also attach to this chain that it comes with. Now this chain is just white plastic, so we'll have to paint that in a silver, or at least some kind of a metal looking color. This is that piece I was talking about that attaches underneath the gown. So that's the inside. This is the outside, and these 2 feet are going to connect here. And that's going to hold it all in place. And here we have the last runner of parts. We have a saw, we have all kinds of odds and ends, another, I guess you'd call it a vase. But yeah, and then these of course are also going to go onto the table. And that's the unboxing. So let's get started with building this. So first I cut the pieces off the runners, sand down the nubs, and then cement everything together with Tamiya extra thin cement. But I do it in sub-assemblies, so the head's separate from the arms, separate from the gown, separate from the base, because it makes it easier to paint. The gown I'm spray painting with Tamiya lacquer, but the rest I'm spray painting with acrylic primer and hand painting. So this just makes it easier to deal with everything. And then after the cement dries, I sand down the seams and I apply putty over any gaps that I can find, just doing a careful once over, checking everything just to be sure. I've painted the gown in Tamiya fine white surface primer and AS20 insignia white. We'll paint the arms in Rakarth flesh and then a dry brush of Ushapti bone. I take a piece of sponge and stipple various grays all over the table. Then I take Mechanica Standard Gray, stipple that, and blend them all together. For the silvers, I take a badly frayed brush and sloppily paint silver everywhere it needs to be, including the frame. For the base, I dry brush browns and grays and dry brush the title and white scar. Now for the next part of this video, I'm going to focus on the face and hair in depth, because I figure if you're like me and you're working on this kit, then that's probably the most scary to tackle, right? So I figure we'll go through, I'll show you the steps and the techniques I use. That way you can do it at home and have some great results. Okay, so first I started with a base coat of Mechanica Standard Gray. You can see those seams got filled in really well. This is my primer, okay? Then I'm going to use Rakarth flesh, okay? I'm going to take a brush, about that type, okay? I'll dip it in my water. All right, I'm going to brush it off. Basically, I'm trying to go for a damp dry brush. All right, get my paint in there, rub it in there a bit, right? We want a dry brush, but we want a damp dry brush. Then I'm going to start brushing that all over the face. And the reason I do it this way is because I don't want to bog it down with a ton of layers of paint. Doing it this way, I could probably do it in about 2 or 3 without having to worry too much about thinning and all that. This is typically how I do my faces. And as you've seen from my other videos, they turn out really good. So you can start to see here, it's already thickening up, see? See that? See? Yeah. And we're not going to have brush strokes or any of that. Now here's what it looks like after we've finished our base coat of Rakarth flesh. You can see I'm doing the exact same thing with the next color, the Kislev flesh. And once again, there are no brush strokes whatsoever. Flawless. Look at that. Alright, so next we're going to need to outline the eyelids. Make it easier for us to paint. Alright, now I got this Nuln Oil here. Okay, oh, don't you dare. Let me get that up on my brush. What we're going to do is we're going to get some of that. We're going to do 2 times water to 1 time paint. Okay, get it nice and thin. All right, and close up your Nuln Oil, because for some reason, out of all my paints, that's the only one I ever knock over. All right, now we're gonna get to those eyelids. We're gonna shade in the whole thing. See that there? That's gonna make it easier for us to know where to put the white of our paints. See that there? Now they're fully outlined. And no need to clean up right now. If you did it right, it'll go into the recesses and stay there. While that dries, we need to be careful not to touch it, okay? But I'm gonna start the hair, just avoid the eyes. So we're gonna do a mix of mostly Doom Bull Brown with a tiny bit of Evil Sun Scarlet because she has auburn hair, right? In the instructions it says to paint them black. That's not actually her hair color. I don't know why they said that. They also said that her eyes are blue. They are not. They're known as dark. So we're gonna mix up the color there. And we're gonna start on the outline here. Being ever so careful. All right. Work our way around very carefully. If we need to touch up on the face, we can. Not an issue. Not at all. Nobody has hands that are so steady that they can play a perfect game of operation. After our main hair color is done, we're going to paint the white parts with gray cere. Once we have a nice solid coat, we're going to go back in and touch up any mistakes we've made along the way, such as the hair. Once the hair is dried, we're going to go over it with a coat of Nuln oil as a wash. We will not be thinning this Nuln oil down. And once our Nuln oil wash is dried, we're going to go over the red parts of the hair with a dry brush of the Evil Sun Scarlet. Do as many coats as you want until you're happy with it. It'll be very subtle, but it'll look good. We're going to do the same for the streaks with white scar. Next, I paint the teeth with Pallid Witch Flesh. And now we are going to paint the lips with Corn Red. I then use Doom Bull Brown in the side of my brush to paint the eyebrows, which I will be touching up. We do this before the eyelashes because if we need to touch up under the eyebrows, then we're going to get that skin tone on our lashes. And then we're constantly going to be cleaning up and cleaning up and cleaning up. And this way, it makes it a lot easier. Cleanup is minimal, and then we can move on to the eyelashes with Corvus Black. Once we're happy with the eyelashes, we're going to be doing a wash with Carroburg Crimson for the stitches. Now, we're going to take 1 part Carroburg Crimson to 3 parts water. All right? So, let's get this out here. Okay. Get that cleaned off a little bit. Get some of that on our palette. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, then we want to get as much of it off of the brush as we can while still having some wetness. Okay, we're going to go over those stitches, and as you can see, it's not super bright. It's very subtle, but enough to bring out the detail of them. All right, and we will do the same for this side. See how we have that little bit of buildup there on the end? Once this dries, I'll touch it up with our Kids Love Flesh skin tone. And that's what it'll look like. Like I said, very subtle, but definitely stands out enough. Then, with gray cere, we're going to paint in the eyes. Take this out for now. Make this a little bit easier, right? Hard to see in this light, but it's coming out good. All right, so starting with Corvus Black, we're gonna find where to paint the eyes. Our outer circle. Not too bad. Oh, that's some scary stuff, but got the first color done on one. I'm using an extra fine brush by Tamiya. I also have an ultra fine, which I'll use for the iris. It's a little smaller than this. This is terrifying. Oof. It's hard to show it on camera. Really hard. Then we're going to take Doomville Brown. We're going to do the outer part of the iris. A little more on there. This one's already got a hook tip on it. Damn, need more water. This thing, this thing does not go far. There we go. Some extra water on it. Really, really helped. And here we have the brown, the Doomville Brown. Okay. And take our Scrag Brown. We're gonna get the bottom kind of rim. And in the end, I wanted it a little bit brighter, so I painted the bottom right corner of both eyes with Deathclaw Brown. And here we have the final result. It's looking pretty good.